The New York sports where the city never sleeps and the passion roars. From the Bronx to Brooklyn, we're talking it all. Yankees, Mets, Knicks, Jets, Giants, let's ball. Sean Horan's the name, he's calling the plays, breaking it down in the loudest of ways. Hot takes, headlines, the games that you missed, your all access pass to the ultimate list. New York pride runs deep, we wear it like a crown. So strap in, folks, Sean's taking you around. This is Sean Horan's playbook, you're in the zone. Let's hit the mic, the stage is yours.
Welcome to the podcast, and boy, do we have one for you today. The New York Football Giants continue to disappoint in a way that is unprecedented. No one in the league has ever disappointed their fan base like the Giants did on Sunday. Am I right? I mean, no, literally, I am right. Go look. Teams are like 1,062-0 when having the kind of lead that the Giants had. So that's just an absolute historic collapse by the New York Football Giants. And here I am the next day, and it's heartbreaking. You get into these spirals of thinking about it where, you know, everything just kind of feels doom and gloom. But then on the other side, once you get through that and you're kind of able to get past that a little bit, there is some positive. There was a lot of good with a very short but intense amount of bad. So that short, intense bit of bad was just too much for the Giants to come back to overcome. And I talked about it on the last podcast, and I'm going to have to talk about it again. I can't believe I have to mention the kicker's name again, but before we get into all that, obviously we have our word from the sponsor. So let me just play this away for you guys here, and we'll get on with our commercial. And here it is.
It's Monday morning, heart still sore, blue and red left on the floor. Another lead that slipped away, but there's a pill to start your day. Forget seed, take it once a week, turn those tears to mild relief. When fourth quarter dreams go up in smoke, Forget seed helps you let go of hope. Forget seed, 'cause hope shouldn't hurt this much. Forget seed, oh, forget seed. Just take it and move on, trust us. When the kicker shanks it wide and you question all your life, you don't need therapy or prayer, just pop one, you won't care.
After Jude missed the extra point, I couldn't look at a football, but now I'm smiling again.
I watched the highlights and felt nothing thanks. Forget seed.
Forget seed, take it every Monday. Start your week the painless way, because hope shouldn't hurt this much. Forget seed,
For every Giants fan's touch.
forget seed.
Is not intended to repair the Giants' defense, improve red zone efficiency, or prevent future heartbreak. Side effects may include mild optimism, brief confidence during halftime, and irrational belief that next year's our year.
Forget C. We definitely needed that this Monday. Oh, we definitely needed that this morning. That was a tough one. Tough, very, very tough loss. But as we go through it, we'll talk about the good and the bad. And so let's get into it. Those first two drives, for each team, really, neither one could get anything going. Giants are trying to establish the run game. First drive went 6 plays for 24 yards. The next play went 3 and out for 8 yards. Just really tough going. Obviously, that Denver defense came out strong. And then the third drive, great drive by the Giants. So you have 1st and 10, Dart from the Giants 23, throws it incomplete to Theo Johnson short to the right. Then the next play after that, Jackson Dart from the shotgun goes 23 yards to the middle of the field to Wandale Robinson. And now you're up to your own 46. So just like that, 2 plays and you're ready at midfield pretty much. They get a 5-yard penalty because Surtain was offsides, and so now that's enforced at the Giants 46, brings them to the Broncos side of midfield, 1st and 5. Broncos 49. Scadaboo goes off the right end for 2 yards. There's a defensive holding on that play, and that brings them to the Denver 44. So getting a little bit of help from this Denver defense on this drive, but also hitting a 23-yard pass, which is great. And then next play right after that second penalty, 44-yard touchdown pass, deep right to Daniel Bellinger. He was wide open, and makes the kick, and it's good. So that was a nice pass that Dart made. He made the safety bite on the play action, then made him bite again when he stepped up in the pocket because the safety thought he was either going to take off with it or throw it short right in front of him. However, Theo Johnson deep down the sideline on the right and makes the grab. What a play by the young quarterback. That is definitely part of the good of this. Is Jackson Dart looks like the real deal. Obviously had that mistake later in the game. We'll get into that. Just a young kid. That's like that old Parcells saying, though, right? Rookies kill you or whatever it is, because it's true. He's a young kid. The moment right there, he's just doing everything he can to make a play on that. And I think, with some of the injuries and, the Giants don't really have a lot of guys who are able to steady the ship, because not a lot of them have been around for too long, and the ones that haven't really seen too much winning. There's not just to compare to another sport in the town, the Yankees. Yankees now at this point have enough guys where they can stabilize a game that's getting out of control, right? But even still, it's tough for them. So maybe they're not the best example. Forget that. I mean, they're their whole other issue with the errors. But with a veteran who has won before, I think that goes a long way, because they're able to come in and tell the young kids, relax, just play our game, don't make any bad mistakes. And Dave all coaches with passion and intensity, and I guess the players feed off of that. They really feed off of that, and since they feed off of it, it's when things start spiraling, it either goes really good or it goes really bad, So back to the Giants game, we get 2 more punts after that. The offense is not really looking good through the first quarter. Then the Broncos start the second quarter with a drive that goes 3 and out. Then the Giants get a 10-play drive, 82 yards for a touchdown. It starts off with an 18-yard pass on the right side to Wandale Robinson, who's out of bounds at the Giants 36. Then they go no huddle, which Dart excels in the quick pace. So they go no huddle, 13-yard pass to Scadaboo. Now they're at midfield, the Giants' 49-yard line. Dart goes deep right to Bellinger again for 29 yards. They're almost at the red zone. Tracy goes for 4 yards, incompletion, 5-yard run by Dart. Then Dart for no gain on 3rd and 1. Then 4th and 1, Dart gets the 1 yard. So the Giants come over 1st and 10 at the Denver 12. Dart gets sacked for 3 yards by Cooper on that play. Then Scadaboo gets it, all of those yards back and a little bit more to put the Giants kind of almost back on pace at 3rd and 6. But then Illuminor takes the full start penalty, and then that's when the rookies come through again on now 3rd and 11 in the red zone, where this team has historically struggled under Brian Daboll. 3rd and 11 in a hostile Denver environment where the players were already talking smack about your team before the game. They're coming out here, they're fired up. You know they don't like the fashion that they beat the Jets in the week before. And you come in, stay composed, poise, make the play, and the two young rookies connect for a 13-yard touchdown. That's just these two young kids can play, and the Giants have a window that's starting to open up here. And Joe Shane needs to get this roster construction right. Brian Daboll has to learn how to coach the entire football team and not just the quarterback. And they need to find a solid defensive coordinator, I think, after this season, because at this point, firing Bone isn't really going to do much. Who's going to replace him? Are they going to be able to install the schemes? But I think you have to have a serious conversation and make sure you're both on the same page about how you want to approach these late games where they only need a field goal, because your team's not good enough to be – actually, you know what? The team is good enough to blow teams out of the water. They were good enough to do it to the Broncos in this game, but they didn't. And why didn't they? Poor execution when it mattered. Poor decision-making by the coaching staff. Bad luck, maybe. All three of those things certainly definitely did not help them win this game. And I'm glad I got into that segue, because this leads me into the next play after the touchdown perfectly. I talked about roster construction in that last tangent. I talked about not shooting yourself in the foot. And I went into this in great detail after that Eagles game, because I thought this was something that they did not do throughout that game very often, but it is something they did in the Saints game as well as this game. And both of those games were games that they could have won. Perhaps you could even say should have won. But they made continuous bad plays that they just were like tripping over themselves. So they couldn't get out of their own way. They couldn't make the play to steady the ship, like we saw last week when the Eagles were driving down the field and Flock gets that interception. The defense almost plays a bully ball type of defense, where when things are good, they're great, but when they're challenged slightly, they fold. And they don't even really bully teams. They just play good defense in certain spots, and then they, as Carl Banks tweets about, and we'll get into our segment, will Carl Banks come on the show a little bit later? Carl Banks says they don't have the mental stamina, and I think he's right about that, because I don't see them lasting full games. I don't see them lasting full drives. I don't see them lasting play to play sometimes, where there's just kind of these lapses in either effort, execution, or just scheme. It's the defensive coordinator also lacks in mental stamina. He didn't have the stamina to put the marbles on the line and rush four, at least, and have your four best pass rushers get after the quarterback when the other team doesn't have a timeout. You drop in to prevent defense, allow them to get down the field in 2 plays, 3 plays, whatever it was, kick the field goal. I mean, you have a rookie quarterback. Help him out. Let the dogs get loose. Instead, you're trying to catch guys with a net. Stupid. All right, so back to the game now. So Jude misses the extra point. That is a huge problem going back like 3-4 seasons now. Kicker's never healthy, so you have to rely on these guys who can't even hold a job at Rutgers. Extra points are gimmies. They are supposed to be made. There shouldn't be like even a 80% chance that you make it. It should be like 99.999%. For the Giants, they must be like I think Aaron Judge's batting average is close to Jude's field goal percentage, extra point percentage. Like it's got to be close, probably somewhere in those. I don't know, infuriating, just horrible. So then Broncos come out, defense stabilizes a little bit, holds them, and the Giants come out on offense then. 7 plays. That takes us to the end of the half. The Broncos get the ball back after that. Giants had to punt. And so we go in with turnover on down. Oh, sorry. I skipped over a major part of this game just now. So where I said the defense stabilized the game a little bit, they did. In that first half, they came out and they made the play. They let the Broncos, after the missed extra point, the Broncos came out on the field, and just like last week against the Eagles, they drove down the field. But this time, the Giants' defense held their ground because the Broncos can't execute the touch push, right? So the Giants make a goal line stand after the beginning of these games were so similar. Even going back to they started off the last 3 weeks, I think 13-0 or something close to it. Probably not the Eagles game, actually. I think that was like 13-3. Or 13-10, something like that. But the Saints game and this game, both 13. The Giants keep scoring 13 points to start the game because they don't have a guy who can make an extra point. An extra point. It's a chip shot. It's a chip shot. I understand that there's a rush coming towards you, but I just feel like if you can't even hit the extra point consistently in the game, why are you even around? To be perfectly honest, if I took some guy just from a high school and was like, let's go kick field goals, and then you put him out at MetLife, I think the varsity kicker can hit some of these. Like would a varsity kicker PAT be that different than what Jude's doing for the Giants? I don't think it'd be that different. He's missed so many that it's like 50% is like what he's chasing. It's just insane. It's really insane. And that goes, Joe Shane got to get the roster construction right. But great job by this defense to hold the Broncos on that, get the ball back. If only the offense could have went down and at least got a field goal. But, hey, 13-0 at the half. You love that. You definitely didn't think it'd be 13-0, and you were the ones leading. So, really good stand by that defense there. Way to make the play to stabilize it. And then the third quarter starts. We go punt, 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 and the Broncos started with the ball. So the Giants' second drive in this half goes for 7 plays and a touchdown, capped off by that Tracy run. So we start with a 9-yard run by Scadaboo from the Giants' 41. So that puts you at midfield now. 4-yard run by Scadaboo. A 0-yard run by Dart. And I think this might have been the play he got hurt on. And then you go 8-yard pass, Dart short pass to Wan'Dale Robinson for 8 yards. So that brings up 3rd and 2. Tracy goes off the right guard for 3. Then Tracy for 4. And then Tracy takes off for a 31-yard touchdown, and he was untouched. Great blocking by the offensive line. Now you are up in the game. After that touchdown, it is now 19-0. And Brian Dable decides to chase the point. And this play goes into the execution part of the three-headed monster as to why they lost, right? So this is the execution head. If that route is just a yard or half a yard further, it's 21-0. But instead, it's not. The attempt fails. The execution of the call was not great, or it was a bad call, right? So that could be either one. Is it is the route supposed to be there? Was Wandell short on the route? That route has to be in the end zone unless he's wide open running. And now maybe they were limited because of Dart's ankle at this point. I don't know. But so you don't get it, right? And if there was never the missed extra point to begin with, that first extra point that was missed, this is another extra point that you're probably converting on, and it's 21-0. And the feel to the game is much different. But after you've already not converted on 2 extra points, you breathe life into the other team. And it's the same momentum conversation that I've been having since the last podcast, where we talked about momentum builds. The Giants do a great job of holding on to momentum in the Eagles game. They do a pretty good job of it in the first 3 quarters of this game. But then at the point afters, when you score a touchdown, continue to kill you. That's unacceptable. And it also leads to these types of comebacks because, like I said in the last one, momentum's a real thing. And any momentum that you can steal will help you win the game. And so the Giants don't even they're not even letting these teams steal it by allowing them to block it or make a good play on third down. What this Giants team is doing is that they're just giving it to the other team. They're saying, here's a little bit of momentum, see what you can make out of it. And boy, did the Broncos make something out of it. So let's get into this dreaded fourth quarter. We go 8 plays by the Broncos for a touchdown. Starts off with a 10-yard penalty too, so would have been great to just start off, have the Broncos with worse field position than they should have had. Maybe that holding penalty can give you a little juice to overcome the slight momentum that the Broncos got after the 2-point try failure. It's not enough because the defense, again, just gives. It's the first play of the fourth quarter from scrimmage where the defense is already just starting to soften up. Now, I know you've had injuries throughout this game, but it's like the philosophy of the defense just changed completely once the fourth quarter came. It became, okay, let's really just not get beat huge here, right? And it becomes like everyone's just more tight now because they're holding on to the lead, because the defensive coordinator is not just saying, go play football, go make the plays. He's saying, we need to hold on to this lead. He's calling it the philosophy of the entire unit changes. It's no longer just play with a hot head. It's if you don't execute, we're going to have issues. It's maybe that's not exactly what it is. It's just this entire shift where you can feel it. The defensive coordinator starts to become tighter, so the play calls start to become tighter, and as a result, the players start to become a little bit tighter. In a game like this, there's not just one play you can hang on to. There's not just one moment you can hang on to. It's everywhere, and I think that's a bad look for the head coach of the team. I really do. I like Daboll a lot. I like the way Dart's playing, so I am torn now because I really don't want to separate Dart from Daboll if Dart continues to have success, because you absolutely have to get the next one right. No question about it. That one's got to be right. But back to this game, when everything just gets a little bit tighter, that's when the Broncos really start to see that you're afraid, and they start swinging now. From there, they were up against the cage, and then they just started swinging. And that 9-yard run hits your block a little bit. You're like, oh, okay, they still got the power. They're not completely out yet. Hits your block, damages your guard a little bit, and then the Broncos feel it after that, right? And so then we go 5-yard run, 16-yard pass, a 32-yard run by Dobbins, a 2-yard run by Dobbins to end the third quarter, And then the first play of the fourth quarter, 12-yard pass, incompletion by Nix, and then a 2-yard touchdown pass by Nix. And then to make matters worse, this goes into the execution part. Again, these extra points killed the Giants on both sides of the ball. They had 2 chances to stop the Broncos on 2-point conversions in this quarter, and they didn't. They failed on both of them. Both. So now it's 19-8, but the offense stabilizes, right? They come out, they get the ball starting at their 33. Scatterboo starts with a 1-yard run off the middle, not much there. Then a 14-yard pass to Wan'Dale Robinson, and then an 18-yard run by Scatterboo off the right end. That was a really nice run. Then you run into a little bit of trouble on first down, a 1-yard run, then a 3-yard loss. Then a 3-yard loss on that Tracy run to bring up 3rd and 12, where the Giants get a delay of game. And then the deflection. So this was actually the second deflection of the game, where Deonte Banks, the ball's deflected in the end zone on that 2-yard pass that Nix had. That ball just was like a bad bounce, and on the incompletion previous to that, the Giants almost had an interception, right? Like, those are 2 balls that could have easily been intercepted. One falls safely incomplete for the Broncos, and then the next falls into the hands of a Broncos receiver for a touchdown. And that's the luck part of it, right? Where against the Chargers, Dexter Lawrence gets that play and he catches the ball and he gets the interception, brings it back, and very close to scoring a touchdown, and the Giants ended up winning that game. In this one, the Broncos get a second chance at it, right? And then they make the big play and score the touchdown. So that's just bad luck there on that dropped interception. And then the ball was originally deflected, and it's just floating in the end zone. And just the fact that ball was intercepted or batted away and it fell like almost perfectly to the Broncos receiver was really bad luck. But it just goes back to execution too, because tip drill, like Banks, that wasn't like a ball thrown tightly into a window. That was a floater that should have been easily swatted away when you saw the receiver was going to catch that. He was right there. Poor execution, but then you catch that lucky break on the Theo Johnson touchdown for 41 yards on 3rd and 17 too. So again, the Giants offense coming out big on right there. And then the Broncos have a 5-minute drive where they go down and score another touchdown on 13 plays for 74 yards. And at the end of this one, they get a second 2-point conversion. And so now it's 26-14? Yeah, 26-16. So it's 26-16. And then now this is the part where the rookie kills you, right? 3 plays. It's basically a 3-and-out. And instead of just taking the sack, Dart tries his best as a young kid to try and make something happen. Doesn't get enough on the pass. If he is able to have just a second longer to throw it and not be falling as he's throwing it, and he can just touch it over the linebacker's head to Theo Johnson, it either will fall incomplete safely or it's completed for a first down and the Giants win the game. Instead, he's getting hit as he throws. There's contact. I don't know if it's exactly a hit or if someone just kind of fell into him. He throws the interception, and the Broncos get the ball in the red zone at the Giants 19. It only takes them 4 plays to score a touchdown. And they kick the extra point. Then the Giants come out, go 3 and out for 2 yards, and have to kick it off. Then, so they're holding a very small lead at this point. So it was 26-23 at this point, right? So they just can't give up a touchdown, and they still have a chance. If they force them to kick a field goal, then it's tied going to overtime, or you have a chance to win the game, right? They give up a touchdown in less than a minute. Bad play calls by the defensive coordinator, bad execution, even when the change in philosophy that I disagree with, actually, they were right there. They could have made the stops, but they chose it. They didn't choose not to. They just didn't. So they were either tired or, they were just, they just couldn't muster the strength to make the plays that they made last week to win the game. But then, the Giants, all with 1:51, 1 timeout, everything's kind of going against them at this point. Dart comes out, gets sacked for a loss of 4, then throws a deep incompletion to Hyatt where he just misses him on the deep pass. It looks like Hyatt kind of stopped running. I think, if he's running full speed, he catches that, hopefully, and the Giants score. But then there's a delay of game after that incompletion on 3rd and 14 to bring up 3rd and 19. Dart throws another deep incompletion to Wandell. Then a 19-yard pass on 4th and 19 to Wandell with a roughing the passer, which was enforced at the Giants 45. So now the Giants get the ball at the Denver 40. Dart throws an incompletion. Then he comes out and throws it deep right to little Jordan Humphrey, who throws another incompletion. And then he, on 3rd and 10 from the Denver 40, he throws it deep, and there's to Bo Collins on the right side. Bo had to come back for that ball, and it's it's just a call that I disagree with. It's not really in the name of football. I think it's just those deep passes that are thrown a little short where the receiver tries to come back for it and the defender just happens to be there because that's where they are. That's where they're kind of supposed to be. And it's called pass interference. So then the Giants get the ball at the 1 because that penalty happened at the 2 and Sean Payton was down the field, and they get the ball back so now the Giants get the ball at the 1. With 37 seconds left, Dart goes off the left side of the line, is able to extend the ball over before he's down. The replay overturns the call on the field, and the Giants now have the lead. It is 32-30. So get help from a couple calls. Dart keeps the poise to put them in a position to get those calls. So rookie is looking good. He doesn't even have playmakers at like any position other than Scadaboo. And Tracy's solid, but he's not even the best running back on the team. Theo Johnson's solid, but he's a tight end 2 on some teams. So wide receiver, we only had one wide receiver with a catch during this game. That was Wandell Robinson. So, yeah, it's just nuts. Like, Jackson Dart was able to put up 32 in Denver against this Broncos team with only having one wide receiver who had a catch. It's insane. The kid can game. He can game. If only Bowen if only the Giants defensive coordinator could game the same way that Jackson Dart can. So Denver gets the ball at their own 23. They have no timeouts and 33 seconds. First play, 29-yard pass to Mims. Phillips just doesn't make the play on that. He's in position 2, even though they only rushed 3, even though they dropped 8 into coverage, even though Brian Burns disagreed with the call, even though Dexter Lawrence wasn't in the game, even though Abdul Carter wasn't in the game. Andrew Phillips was in position to make that play, but he was either just too fatigued to make it, or, the moment was too big for him, and he doesn't make the play. And then as they're setting up to spike the ball, Burns doesn't get back in time. And now they have the ball at the Giants 48, or actually the Giants 43 because of that penalty. And a 22-yard pass then deep left to Sutton, where Banks just can't make the play either. And he goes out of bounds at the Giants 21. He doesn't go out of bounds. Banks just tackles him there at the Giants 21. That was another bad play by Banks. And then Nix spikes the ball at the Giants 21. The field goal is obviously good, and the Giants lose the game 33-32 on a last-second field goal. And it's just rough being a Giants fan, because this is what we deal with. So to analyze this game, I say there's a 3-headed monster that cost the Giants. Luck, which is the smallest head of all, because even though the Broncos had a pass deflection that they were able to catch for a touchdown, so did the Giants. And the only reason I put it up here is because of that interception that doesn't get caught by the defensive lineman. If that one's caught, the game's completely different. I'll chuck that up to Luck, because they're defensive linemen. They're not there to catch the ball. That's like a 50-50 play from a professional quarterback who's throwing it really hard from point blank, essentially. Number 2, execution when it matters. Number 3, coaching and team management. Execution when it matters. The extra points. From the kicker to the defense to the offense. All 3 phases. Special teams failed them on the extra points that were missed at the end of the game, and on the first touchdown, right? Then the offense failed them on the extra points by not converting their 2-point try. Then the defense failed them on the 2-point conversions by not stopping either of the 2 that the Broncos were able to get pretty easily. The Drew Phillips play that he wasn't able to make. And then Deonte Banks not being able to make a play to save his life in any professional football game. Jalen Hyatt not coming down with that catch. The offense not executing on the 3 and out to just be able to run the game out. And then roster construction was on the GM. The fact that they start the season with Gano as kicker, knowing he's injury prone, knowing he's not the same guy that he was a few years ago. He's great when healthy, but he's never healthy, so he's not great then. Then to not be able to replace it with someone who could just simply, they don't have to drill a 65-yarder. We're not asking them that, but the Giants have to punt on 50-yarders because they can't even trust their guy to hit an extra point. And now they've lost games because they can't hit an extra point. That's not the sole reason. It's definitely not the only reason, but it is part of the reason, and that should never be a reason that you lose a football game. Number 3 for roster construction and coaching. Defensive coordinator started clutching his pearls at the end of this game, and that trickles down to the unit that you coordinate. He was clutching his pearls. He was afraid, and I think calling prevent defense when you have on paper one of the best pass rush in the sport is really foolhardy, and not smart. And number 4 will be Brian Dable. Calling the pass play when you could have just simply ran it. Even if you have to punt there, then you have 2 possessions to play with. They'll have no timeouts left, and they have to score twice, and they'll have to score twice within 4 minutes with no timeouts, and they'll also have to get an onside kick. But instead, he calls a pass, trusts Jackson Dart a little bit too much, forgets that he's a rookie, and that's one of the reasons they lost the game. So a lot of blame to go around, a lot of places to look to improve. And so with me finishing up the recap, let me get a showing your ass going here. And I'm sure if you've been listening this whole time, you know where this is going. You know who this is going to be about. And just as I set it up here, just wanted to thank you all for listening to the podcast. If you listen, so thank you all for that. And now let me get this going here. And I'm all right. Here we go. Showing your ass theme coming.
Hey, shine your ass, calling out the plays that crash. If you're slipping, if you're slacking, Sean's coming for the action. Shine your ass, New York sports better move fast. Mess it up and you won't pass. Shine your ass, shine your ass, shine your Rip it up, call it out. That's what Sean's about.
All right. So, and on this episode of Showing Your Ass, we got a lot of names, and we're just going to power through it. And I think I've already stated the reasons pretty explicitly at the end of the recap, throughout this whole thing. So here we go. Here's Showing Your Ass. Our people of the week are Brian Dable, Mike Kafka, Shane Bowen, Michael Gobriel, Shea Tierney, Jeff Nixon, Mike Groh, Carmen Versillo, Andy Bischoff, Andre Patterson, Johnny Igorgo, Jerome Henderson, Laura Young, John Michael Smith Jr., Paulson Adebo, Deontay Banks, Cordell Flott, Art Green, Nick Jones, Drew Phillips, Darius Alexander, DJ Davidson, Chauncey Golston, Dexter Lawrence II, Rakeem Nunez Rocha Sr., Roy Robertson Harris, John Runyon, Greg Van Roden, Bobby Okereke, Jude McNamee, Swayze Bozeman, Demetrius Flanagan Fowles, Neville Hewitt, Darius Musau, Casey Kreider, Jermaine Illuminor, James Hudson III, Marcus Embow, Evan Neal, Austin Schlottman, Aaron Steiny, Brian Burns, Abdul Carter, Victor Dimukeje, Kayvon Thibodeau, Jamie Gillen, Jackson Dart, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston, Devin Singletary, Cam Scadaboo, Tyrone Tracy, Dane Belton, Bo Braid, Javon Holland, Tyler Newman, Andrew Thomas, Daniel Bellinger, Thomas Fidone II, Theo Johnson, Chris Manhertz, Bo Collins, Jalen Hyatt, Gunnar Olitsky, Wandell Robinson, Darius Slayton. Those are the guys. The entire Giants organization, essentially. And yeah, roster top to bottom, all of the coaches, everyone in any kind of position to help this team. It's on you. This was a team failure from top to bottom. No way about it. Did I say Shane? Oh, no, I didn't. So Joe Shane. There you go. That's the list. That's the whole list. Yep. All right, there you go. That's showing your ass. And I think I've got it all out. I've said my piece about this Giants week. I'm going to look forward to the future and try and be happy. We'll go into will Carl Banks appear on the show? So let's get into that segment now.
Every morning I open my Twitter, check my DMs, no message from Carl. It's not really about the Super Bowl, it's about this segment. Will Carl Banks appear on the show? Is Carl Banks gonna be on the show? Will Carl Banks appear on the show? Is Carl Banks gonna be on the show?
The answer is no. Actually, for some reason, my podcast Twitter got flagged. I thought I was spam or something, and it happened right after I posted this podcast on it. I think probably just something in the algorithm flagged it when I had posted from YouTube over to it. So hopefully I'll get unshadow banned soon. Yeah, but Carl won't come on the show. I decided maybe, I'll ask him once the podcast is doing a little bit stronger, but for now he's not coming on the show. My Twitter is flagged for some reason, so if you want to start tweeting out at me, you can, but you probably won't see my replies unless it's directly to you and you get a notification for that type of thing. I don't know why it got flagged. There's not really anything I can even do to stop it, so that kind of stinks, but oh well, what are you going to do? It's not like this is all that important anyway. All right, so look forward to next week. Maybe we'll do that a little bit later in the week. Today's only Monday. We could do it maybe Thursday, Friday. Maybe we'll get some picks in finally. And for anyone that thinks that the Giants are going to get killed by the Eagles next week, got one thing to say to you.
Shut up, bitch! Oh my God!
That's right. We got Jackson Dart and Cam Scatterbo, and they'll come out. They'll be ready to play. Dable will get these guys in shape, and maybe they won't win, but I think they'll at least have some kind of compete in them, and hopefully Shane Bowen and the Giants defense can work out whatever differences they have and just come out and continue to play good football. So we got another song, another cover. It's going to play us out here. And it's called Hey Jude. Hey Jude, You Missed the Kick. It's a parody song from the Beatles. I hope you enjoy. Thank you for listening to the podcast, and remember to reach out to the Twitter with anything that you want me to discuss on the next one, and I'll be sure to put a nice screenshot of the tweet on the YouTube video so we can get your Twitter handle out there. Everyone can just take a nice look at it, and it'll be great. So thank you for listening. Enjoy this parody song called Hey Jude, parentheses, You Missed the Kick.
Hey Jude, you blew the game. You had one job to split the uprights. Remember the lead was ours to save, but you just sent it wide to the right. Hey Jude, it hurts to say we were up big, then Denver stormed back. 19-0 turned to pain. Then you went and shanked the pay. And when you missed that kick, oh Jude, we knew the mile-high air still carried through. Now the whole town's screaming, Blue needs a new shoe. Hey Jude, we're losing because of you. Hey Jude, we saw the tape. Snap was clean, hold was steady, but you hooked it left, love, like a drunk on skates. Now post games full of pity. You missed again. Macatowny. Oh, hey, Jude, you cost us two. Our fourth quarter feud. Hey, Jude. Hey, Jude. The crowd went cold. You said, I'll take the blame, I own it. But big blue hearts are turning old. We've seen this scene, and you wrote it. Remember Doc's last drive? Oh, Jude, it's true. The rookie gave it all for you. But one wide ride, and dreams were through. Hey, Jude. The Meadowlands booed you. Hey, Jude. Hey, Jude.